Welcome back to Healing Broken Trust. I have Dan and Lynn with me today. They're going to share their story with us about their healing journey, and they're a couple that's really healed from broken trust. And I'm going to ask them some questions to kind of help guide the conversation. But listen to their story, listen to see what you can learn from them, and they're going to point out some things that they would probably do differently, but things they also wish they had done probably earlier, and then some things that they had also picked up along the way that were very helpful. So Dan and Lynn, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you guys doing this. What were things like in your guys' relationship before trust was broken?
I would say that, of course, we've been married for 20 years, but in the beginning it was great. Then we went through a patch where it was a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. Then we quit communicating. Our children left the house, and we became empty nesters and didn't really know how to communicate with each other, to talk to each other, to enjoy each other. It was pretty rough. Mm-hmm. I think that's when we started going two separate ways. Dan did his thing and I did mine. We worked, we came home, and there was a big divide. And during that time, that's when I seeked comfort from approval, recognition. I was feeling really, and I know Dan felt that same way. Now I know that. Mm-hmm. That did we really love each other? Did we really know each other? It was a very dark time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There were some big issues in the beginning of that. Also, was some physical, medical issues, and then the loss of her mother just prior to this. And I think looking back, I think that put her in a dark place.
Yeah.
The combination of everything.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because that's unfortunately those types of things often precede infidelity. There's a lot of storms that happen. Death of a loved one, just transitions, like having kids leaving home. Those things that you guys listed, those are very common things that can precede broken trust. What happened that broke trust?
The divide, I say, we quit talking to each other. I felt I was going through a lot in my head, and just felt that we weren't working on the same goal, I guess. I felt all alone. I didn't think he found me attractive anymore. I didn't think he loved me. And I had a friend that happened to call me out of the blue and was compassionate, and I shared things that I should not have shared. I shared the conflict that we were having, how I felt, even though I was making it more about me, but they were sympathetic. They were telling me I'm a good person, how much they cared. And it just seemed to click, and it was nice to hear. And I think at that point, I even just kind of threw my hands up between Dan and I and thought, well, he didn't care. At least I feel like I'm worthy somehow. Or, somebody tells me I'm good and nice and they care for me. Mm-hmm. And it just went downhill from there. And I had an affair.
Yeah. Lynn, how long did the affair last?
We talked about a little over a year. The intimate sexual part was pretty 9-10 months. Could have been maybe, I guess, a little bit longer. It was difficult to break that off. It was when I can say in my right mind, I knew after it started, that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't real. That wasn't what Dan and I had when we got married. That what I was looking for, that was not it. And it seemed like a battle to try to get out of that. And I didn't really know how. I didn't know how, and I would avoid a conversation with that person, and then it became a little hostile, threatening, and I started to have conversation with them just so they wouldn't call Dan and tell him what was going on. And I think that that's why it hung on the amount of time it did, is because at that point I thought, I knew I didn't ever want that relationship. I just wanted to feel love and felt like I was worthy. And I knew that it wasn't real. And just trying to get out of that bad situation, I had no clue. And I did not want Dan to know.
That's Lynn, what you're saying is real important. Sometimes people do get blackmailed. And, it's not so simple to end these things because people do get blackmailed. And I've seen that quite a bit, actually. What was the healing journey like? You guys attended one of our workshops. I want to ask you guys about that, but also what was just the healing journey like before the workshop?
Well, we had probably a year, maybe 15 months into this thing, she came to me, and I think she was being pressured about a divorce because she felt I didn't care, and so on and so forth. I think that he was pressuring her to do that. So we sat down and talked, and it took about 2 weeks to kind of hash out everything, and I thought to myself, is this what I want? Knowing, that time I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew that she wanted a divorce and why. And I decided, no, I want her. I want us. I want our family. And when it came down to it, I told her that, and I told her I'm not giving up. And I think she realized at that point that I actually did love her, and we had just had to divide between us. So we had started working on our relationship somewhat to put things back together, try to fix what was going on between us. And then 8 months later, I guess she had finally told him she wasn't ever going to be with him, and because he was still pushing, threatening her that he was going to call me. And he called me and told me, we've been having an affair, so on and so forth, this, that, and the other, because we all know each other. So we come from the same small town. So that began our journey about a year ago to actually with the program and finding the Broken Trust podcast, and then moving from there. And without it, I don't think we'd be here.
No,
we wouldn't. Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Was there kind of, fits and starts, like just kind of issues with healing before coming to the workshop?
Oh yeah, I mean we, the ups and downs that for me, just your brain goes through all that could have happened because it just turned out to be a trickle down. So just a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. And she didn't want to say stuff because she felt it was going to hurt me. And all I wanted to do was know the truth. So I felt that at least I had some, solid ground to start rebuilding our relationship on and our trust. And, that kind of drug on even to probably 6 months ago. We had another thing come out that, I found some phone records and stuff like that. And it kind of took us all back to the beginning. But at that point, we had done enough work that we were able to recover from that quickly and start moving forward again instead of just being, end of the road kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because my MO from my past relationships have been, hey, you don't want me here, I'm good. Pack my stuff up, my truck, I'm heading on down the road, no big deal. Water off a duck's back. And I just, cram everything inside. But just in this relationship, I just couldn't do that because I knew she's the person I wanted.
Yeah.
So it wasn't going to do me any good to do that. So it made a huge difference for us at that point because it helped me identify more that she is who I want and that she is a good person. For that situation, that she's a good person.
Yeah, that's very important.
We had started listening to the podcast, and then it was an up and down, and we were they weren't discussions, they were arguments. They would get pretty heated, and we didn't know where to go. We didn't, and the podcast was so informational and just so awesome. So that's when I reached out to your office to set up an appointment because we really at that point thought that, if we don't at least talk to somebody, he needed somebody to talk to because we are in a small town and nobody else knew. And we needed somebody to find out, are we even doing the right thing? Are we, just to help us to heal? And after the sessions with you, we did. We were up and down, and that communication and those tools you gave us were so beneficial, and the videos and the books and the everything was just awesome. And we were still kind of going up and down. And then when you indicated about the workshop, we were gung ho. Yeah, that was just, I can say now, that is so that wonderful, just extra,
boost.
Yes, thanks. Boost to just, give you those extra tips and tools and stuff to do. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that is great.
Going through the workshop when we were there, we had a tough day, just of the stuff that we're covering. But on the other hand, I think it made a huge difference for us.
That's great.
We look back to it every day.
Yeah. I appreciate that during that workshop you did, I think, prepare us. I think we went in thinking one thing, this is going to be just smooth, we're going to do these things. And when you started off saying this may trigger some stuff, you may have some disagreements when you leave here today, some things you said, and yep, that happened. We sat in the hotel room and had some deep conversations, but the tools you gave us helped us, really did. And I think that's when we started really seeing those tips and tools and guides and the roadmap all start working. And it seemed rough because it was rough. that weekend was rough. But man, when we came home, we pulled out that roadmap, started looking at them, using it, going through the extra stuff you provided. And wow, I don't think you realize until you look at that daily and do it, you get to where you don't have to look at it. You're doing it. And then you go back in a week and you look at that information and you're like, hey, I did all that stuff without, you don't feel like you're making yourself do it. But for me, I was that avoider, put everything in a box, don't want to talk about it, want everything to be good. So I think that it was easy for me not to do those skills And so it was a little bit hard for me to learn to do those. It's not that I didn't know how to do them. It's how to do them and share them and not try to be a control freak. Dan's very good. Very good.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think just spending several days working on our relationship where we're having to look at this, and it's, several hours, it does kind of stir up stuff. We can't avoid it. We can't. And so it can stir up stuff. But it can be a healthy stir up. It's a controlled burn. We don't want to have forest fires. We want to have controlled burns. Those controlled burns prevent those forest fires. But yeah, that can happen. But like you said, there's a safety net and there's tools, and it's a safe place to work through these things. So I think that's real important. What was, you mentioned the roadmap. You mentioned, what were some things that just come to mind that were helpful from the workshop? And you mentioned, kind of going back and looking at the workbook and things like that. What were things that were helpful from the workshop?
For me, it was learning from other people that were there, other betrayers, to hear their story and to understand that what she was going through and the trickle truth and the way it was coming out, that's the way it happens a lot of times. Because they're ashamed, they're embarrassed, they feel like all they're doing is more damage to the relationship and to the betrayed person. And it just opened my eyes to that, to listen to and them say, some of the things I just don't remember because I lied so much. I don't know what's the truth and what's the lie. There's just so many lies. How do I, unpack the whole suitcase? And we were having a big issue with that. I was wanting to know, tell me, give me the truth. No, I didn't want to know about intimate details, but about the relationship part of it and the more emotional. And that helped quite a bit for me. And then that, in turn, made it so I could be more, not accepting, but a soft place for her to come and talk and unload that stuff so that she felt she could, and it turned our conversations from fights to discussions. And that made a huge difference after the workshop. It took a little bit of time, but once we got to that point, we still have an argument now and again. I mean, it happens. You just don't see eye to eye, and somebody's in a bad mood or something, whatever. But for the most part, our conversations are conversations.
Yeah, that's important.
They start soft and they end soft, even when there's a disagreement in there. I loved the having, we were there. We didn't do it by video. Having the other people there and that interaction, like Dan said, is hearing the others ask certain questions. As we ask questions, it may be something they wanted to know, or providing the feedback of what was going on in where we were at the time. To hear that was helped me to understand, being that avoider, helped me to understand some of the things that I needed to do by hearing the other people that had been betrayed, what they were going through and how they felt. And to be that caregiver for him, to be able to step up and learn I knew how I felt and I wanted to be caring, but I didn't know if he really wanted it, because I know he needed to be so angry at me. I wanted him to be mad, and he wasn't. So I was like, okay, how can I be that caregiver? He seems, to be being mine. And I think we learned how to do that with each other, which made it so much easier to have that communication. I do want to say that being that betrayer, the number one thing that I think we didn't do in our relationship in the beginning is set those boundaries. And I really feel that workshop just really, in a easy, soft, either both ways, provided the detail on those boundaries, how important they are. And I think that really helps. People don't realize because they think, well, you're setting rules. No, you sit down together, you work through these together. It's both ways. And I think boundaries are something that if couples would do in the beginning, you have that communication, those boundaries, you've got the trust. If you've got the communication and the boundaries, the trust is going to come right along with it. And your workshop just, filled in all that stuff that you, like, wow, why didn't we do this? After we sat down and worked through those.
Yeah, that's good. The roadmap, kind of the last thing I present at the workshop is just the roadmap. Here's the things to take from this and go and do. Is that helpful, just having okay, we just had a bunch of information and, obviously time to work through things, but just here's the roadmap, things to go do. Is that helpful, just having that list of things that we want to go do?
For me, yes.
Yes.
For me, yes.
To go back to it, and sometimes we would have discussions, we would sit down and actually have the stuff material out so that we could refer back to it, because in a lot of the stuff, like the 100 questions that you go through and answer this question, there's a lot of stuff in there that when you see the other person's answers, you're just like, wow. Like the light came on because they're thinking one thing, you're thinking something completely different. So when it gets to the point where you actually get to put stuff together, then you can step back and go, okay, I was completely wrong on this whole part right here. I was just, I was beating a dead horse. It's just not, there was nothing there.
Yeah, definitely. What would you guys say things are at now? It's February. You guys came to the October workshop. That's, I don't know how many months that is, maybe 4 months. Where are things now?
For us, I would say we probably have a better relationship than we've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we're not still dealing with that. I'm the kind of person that I'm an investigator. I'm going to go back, look at all these facts. I have these facts. I have this, I used to argue small claims court cases, so that's my brain. So I've learned in myself through this that it does no good to continue going back to what happened. That's been, this is now, we're moving forward. There's a question every now and again. I'll say, hey, can I ask you a question? And it may be just something that came to my mind that day when I was, working or whatever. And we'll have an honest discussion about it. And she'll say either, I don't remember, or this is what happened. And that helps me to deal with it and move on for good. I know we're building it every day. And it's a much better relationship than it ever was before.
Yeah. Our relationship's the best it's ever been. That's a powerful statement. Lynn, for you, what would you say things are like now?
Oh, wow. It's, for somebody that has always been an avoider, a control freak, thinking they needed to take care of everything, not put the burden on anybody else, now it's crazy how less stress I feel, how more at peace I feel, how I have a partner, how I share that some people may think very simple things, but being able to share that responsibility and to have that input and to be able to say in the end the things we talked about them together and we came to a solution together. And to know that you have that person to lean on is just great. And he's great at it. Yeah, he does a great job. I definitely say we have way better relationship now than we ever have.
Good.
And I know based on the skills from the workshop and the meetings with you and all the tools you gave us, it's just going to continue to get better. Yes, I know that this is never going to go away. It's something that happened, but we have the tools on how to deal with it, how to work through it.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Would you guys both say it was life-changing?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely life-changing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, I don't think, I don't know, even know if we'd be together if it wasn't for that.
No.
Wow.
That, and it's really amazing how nobody knows where we live. Nobody knows what's going on. But the people that have come up to us and talked to us about, wow, what are you guys doing? Wow, you guys are like different. Wow, things are like really going good.
Yeah.
You guys really.
My family doesn't like what you guys act like you're newlyweds. I'm like,
yeah.
well,
So
we gotta have a new lease on life, really.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That itself reflects all the tools and stuff that we've learned, and what we're doing is people that don't even have a clue what's going on behind our closed doors, they notice it. So that makes us feel good.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, people are like, you guys, what'd you guys do? You guys are like newlyweds. That's awesome. I love that. What would you say to somebody who's on the fence, who's like, I want to come, I want to go, my spouse doesn't want to go, or maybe, I don't know if I should do this. You know, maybe they're working with a therapist or they're not working with a therapist. What would you say to somebody who's maybe on the fence about coming to the workshop?
I think you have to jump out there. And, I mean, the alternative is the end. Mm-hmm. So why not take every step you can? If you love that person and you care for them, whether they're the betrayer or the betrayed, you got to do everything you can do to fix that. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know how somebody could survive this without having the tools and the guidance to navigate the emotions. I just don't know how you do it. Yeah. I think it's something it's a detrimental. It would be detrimental not to step up, take the chance to fix your life.
Yeah.
I would definitely tell somebody whether their spouse was hesitant to come, they should come, because they need those tools to heal themselves, to work through, so they don't carry this on to something else. You know, I knew I wanted him. We just didn't think we were where we were. We didn't really know. And we knew we loved each other. We just didn't know if we could make it work. And, but we wanted to help each other no matter what the decision was in the end. And of course, I didn't think he was going to stay, but yeah, he proved me wrong. So I would say get off the fence, and for yourself, your inner healing, and learn some skills on don't carry this over.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Just jump into the fire.
Yeah.
Get in there.
Yeah.
You know? You find out one way or the other, so that you need to do something.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dan. Like, jump into the fire. It could be a forest fire, or jump into a controlled burn, where, you know, maybe some hard conversations, but it's a controlled burn. It's in a good setting with other people who are going through similar things and who've experienced similar stuff, and you can learn from them, learn from the material that we go through. But it's more of a controlled burn. It's more constructive.
I did want to say one thing. What was really good about being there at the workshop was, I guess, the support of the other people there that are going through the same thing. To me, that seemed to be really, it was neat. And you feel awkward going there because it's like you're embarrassed because you're going through this and so on and so forth. But once you get past that, all these people are in the same boat. So you can you can ask the questions you need to ask. You're not going to shock anybody. Everybody's going through the same thing. So it's something that's really awesome. And that's what I've noticed with our Tuesday night Zoom meetings we're doing. It's very interesting to be with people who have gone through it, because the discussions we're having are things that we've either gone through or we're going to go through. so it helps.
Yeah.
And you have that support.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that's a good point, Dan. There's the Tuesday night, or there's the weekly. It's not Tuesday night necessarily, but it's the weekly, because that may change in the future. But it's the weekly support group for people who've gone through the workshop, and that's helpful because we continue to learn, we continue to grow, continue to have that community. It's like you guys said, a lot of people, nobody else knows that they've gone through this. Their children don't know. Nobody knows. And
right.
Occasionally, sometimes other people might know, but it's not all the time. And so a lot of people deal with this on their own. Maybe their therapist. That's it. But being able to have a safe community of other people that can encourage you and who are further ahead and sometimes further behind, and you can encourage others, or other people are already, a little ahead and they can encourage as well. So it's really an added bonus. A lot of people really enjoy that support group.
Yes.
I really appreciate your guys' time. Anything else that you guys want to say to encourage?
I just want to thank you and Robin for everything you guys have done, and that you continue to do. Anything new, we appreciate it. Yeah, really, thank you. I mean, you guys have just that starting out that podcast. We've never listened to podcasts before, and we really appreciate it. I don't even have the right words to say that how much we appreciate it, because just like Dan said, I don't think we'd be here without your guys' guidance.
Thank you very
help.
much.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Hey, get the transcript to this podcast episode at healingbrokentrust.com. You can also learn about the program this couple participated in and join us. You can go to healingbrokentrust.com for more information. Also, remember, this podcast is for information purposes only. It's not meant to diagnose your situation, and it's just for information. Okay, healingbrokentrust.com. We would love to see you in our program.